Good morning, John. You sure nailed it with your topic this week of chaos. It was just chaos all over the place. With the market, with the media, it just seemed like volatility was back in kind of full throes this week. And again, the media, I think, is really what kind of contributed to the volatility. I remember way back when I was a little kid that the only access to news was the morning newspaper, which reflected yesterday's headlines, and Cronkite from 6 to 6:30. And that was it. But now we live in this 24/7, 365 media cycle where I can go on my computer at any given day and see 15 new news stories completely contradicting what I may have read in the news just a day or two ago. And we saw some examples of that this week, especially the financial headlines. Oil, first and foremost. Everything early in the week saw oil sliding, and the markets responded negatively to it. But yet here we finished the week with an incredible uptick in oil, which we saw energy shares really react explosively to, finishing the week on a huge rally, which is really what predominantly drove markets here to finish the week. We saw other contradictions in the news stories, where Fed president here in San Francisco was speaking in kind of a hawkish tone earlier in the week about the need to inject some increase in interest rates sooner than we would expect to prevent inflation. Here now we're seeing headlines towards the end of the week where deflation might actually be creeping into the environment, where consumer prices have actually dropped more so than they ever have since 2006. We saw back and forth discussions on Europe's policy on quantitative easing. We saw currencies all over the world reacting differently to what I like to call Swiss cheese. Switzerland's apparent stinky approach to lifting the cap on their currency, the Swiss franc, and really how the markets reacted differently around the world to that decision. So with all this contradiction in this 24/7 media cycle, the markets reacted violently, up and down, really starting with quite the downward trend that we saw finish upward here. But at the end of it all, the markets finished relatively flat. Of course, it was quite the roller coaster ride to get there. And I'm happy to report from Gebhardt Group and 401k Masters that the specific spots that we're exposed to, thanks to our indicators and our disciplined approach, as well as the recommendations we made to 401k Masters members, all finished relatively flat as well this week, but lacked the kind of roller coaster ride that the markets experienced and what probably your traditional buy and hold investor experienced. So when we look at our specific sectors, we had some exposure to the broad markets and small cap, but what really balanced out the volatility there was our exposure to real estate, consumer discretionaries, healthcare, utilities, and financials. So all in all, we're proud of our discipline. Not only has it worked historically, but even in the short run here year to date, we're seeing a much smoother ride by being very selective about the spots we pick. So that's all from here, John. Hope you have a great weekend. Back to you.